into the dark waters. The swamp water rose to their thighs, cold and thick with decay. Isaiah pulled Hannah forward, her hand gripping his with desperate strength. Behind them, Moses carried the supply bundle high on his shoulders, while Mercy clutched his other arm, her breathing already labored. Abigail held Ruth tight against her chest, the child still mercifully silent from the sleeping tea. Samuel and Elijah moved together, their young faces set with determination, despite the terror in their eyes. Clara brought up the rear, her field-hardened body adapting quickly to the treacherous footing. The water deepened with each step. Isaiah felt the mud sucking at his boots, threatening to pull them off with every movement. Spanish moss hung from cypress trees like gray shrouds, brushing their faces with ghostly fingers. The air was thick with the smell of rotting vegetation and stagnant water. "Keep moving," Isaiah whispered urgently. "Follow the creek north like we planned, 3 miles through the water to hide our scent." Behind them, the dogs' barking grew frenzied. The torchlight flickered through the trees at the swamp's edge, still distant but closing. Isaiah could hear men's voices now, crows among them, sharp and commanding. "They've gone into the swamp. Get those dogs moving." The water rose to their waists. Ruth stirred in Abigail's arms, making a small sound. Abigail's face went white with panic, but the child settled again, her small chest rising and falling in deep, drugged sleep. "How long will that tea last?" Hannah whispered, her voice tight with fear. "Hours," Mercy gasped between labored breaths. "Long enough. But we need to put distance between us and them." The old woman was struggling. Her thin frame wasn't built for this kind of exertion, and the cold water was sapping her strength. Moses adjusted his grip, half carrying her now while keeping the supplies dry above the waterline. "I'm slowing us down," Mercy wheezed. "You should." "Don't even think it," Moses cut her off, his deep voice brooking no argument. "We move together or not at all." Isaiah led them deeper into the swamp, following the creek's current upstream as planned. The water was a living thing around them, full of unseen movement. Something brushed against Isaiah's leg, and he fought down a surge of panic. Snakes. Alligators. The swamp was full of dangers beyond the men and dogs behind them. A splash to their left made everyone freeze. Hannah's fingers dug into Isaiah's arm. They waited, hearts pounding, but nothing emerged from the darkness. Just the normal sounds of the swamp. Frogs, insects, the occasional splash of some night creature going about its business. "Keep going," Isaiah breathed. They waited on. The torchlight behind them seemed to multiply. More men joining the search, spreading out along the swamp's edge. Isaiah could hear them arguing about whether to follow into the water. "Those dogs won't track through water," one voice called. "We should wait for daylight, circle around, and cut them off at the other side." "Mrs. Belmont wants them found tonight," Crow's voice snapped back. "She's offering $50 to the man who brings them back." $50. Isaiah felt Hannah's hand tremble in his. That kind of money would bring every poor white man in the county running. Their head start was evaporating with every passing minute. The creek bed grew rockier, the water shallower, but faster moving. Isaiah's legs burned with the effort of pushing forward against the current. Behind him, he could hear Elijah's labored breathing, Samuel's muttered curses as he stumbled on submerged roots. They had been moving for perhaps an hour when Clara suddenly gasped. "Something's wrong with my leg." They stopped, clustering together in the darkness. Clara's face was twisted with pain as she lifted her left leg. Even in the dim moonlight filtering through the cypress canopy, Isaiah could see the dark shape attached to her calf. "Leech," Moses said quietly. "Don't pull it. Let it finish feeding and it'll drop off on its own." Clara's jaw clenched, but she nodded, lowering her leg back into the water. They stood there, waiting, while behind them the torches continued their search pattern along the swamp's perimeter. "I'm sorry," Clara whispered. "I'm slowing everyone down." "We all knew this wouldn't be easy," Hannah said softly. "We're in this together." The leech finally dropped away, and they moved on. The water grew deeper again, rising to their chests. Abigail held Ruth high, struggling to keep the child's head above water. Moses shifted the supply bundle to one shoulder and took Ruth with his free arm, his massive strength allowing him to carry both. "Thank you," Abigail breathed, relief flooding her face. Isaiah checked the position of the North Star through gaps in the canopy. They were still heading in the right direction, following the creek upstream as planned. 3 miles, he'd told them. 3 miles through the water before they could risk coming out and moving faster on solid ground. But 3 miles in swamp water, in darkness, with pursuers behind them, it might as well have been 30. Samuel suddenly grabbed Isaiah's shoulder. Listen. They all froze. At first, Isaiah heard nothing but the normal swamp sounds. Then it came. The baying of dogs, but different now. Closer. The hunters had brought the dogs into the water. They're tracking us, Samuel hissed. They're following us in. The water should hide our scent, Isaiah said, but doubt crept into his voice. These weren't ordinary dogs. They were trained slave catchers, bred and trained for this very purpose. We need to move faster, Elijah said, fear making her voice crack. We can't, Moses replied, nodding toward Mercy. The old woman was barely conscious now, her body sagging against his supporting arm. She can't take much more. Isaiah's mind raced. They were trapped between impossible choices. Push harder and leave Mercy behind. Slow down and let the dogs catch them. There had to be another way. The creek splits up ahead, he said suddenly, remembering the map he'd memorized and burned. About half a mile. One branch goes northwest, the other northeast. We split up, confused the trail. No, Hannah said immediately. We agreed. We stay together. We agreed to survive, Isaiah countered. Right now, together means caught. We split into 2 groups, meet at the Patterson farm like we planned. And if one group doesn't make it? Abigail asked, her voice breaking. The question hung in the cold air. Isaiah thought of his promise to Hannah, her promise to him. If they got separated, if one was caught, the other would keep going. It was the only way any of them survived. Then the other group keeps going, he said quietly. We didn't come this far to all die together. The dogs' baying grew louder. Torchlight flickered closer through the trees. They were running out of time. Moses, you take Mercy, Clara, and Ruth, Isaiah decided quickly. Follow the northwest branch. It's longer but easier ground. Hannah, Samuel, Elijah, and Abigail come with me on the northeast branch. It's harder but faster. Ruth should stay with me, Abigail protested. And Moses can carry her when you can't, Isaiah said gently. We need to move fast on our route. Moses's group can take it slower, safer. We'll draw the pursuit while you get Ruth to safety. Abigail's face crumpled, but she nodded. She reached up and touched Ruth's sleeping face, her fingers trembling. Keep her safe. With my life, Moses promised. They pushed forward through the deepening water. The creek split just as Isaiah remembered, the 2 branches diverging into darkness. They paused at the junction, the 2 groups facing each other. Patterson Farm, Moses said. Red barn, white cross above the door. We'll be there. We'll be there, Isaiah echoed. Mercy roused herself enough to speak, her voice barely audible. The medicines are in the bundle. Willow bark for pain, yarrow for bleeding, golden seal for... We know, Hannah said softly. You taught us. We remember. The old woman managed a smile. You're good children, all of you. Your ancestors are watching. They'll guide your steps. The dog's barking intensified. Multiple voices now, coordinating the search. The torches were spreading out, moving methodically through the swamp. Go, Isaiah said urgently. Now. Moses turned northwest, Clara and Mercy moving with him into the darkness. Isaiah watched them disappear into the shadows, Ruth's small form still cradled in Moses' powerful arms. Then he turned to his own group. Northeast branch. Stay close. Stay quiet. If anyone falls behind, we don't stop. We can't stop. Hannah's hand found his in the darkness. Together, she whispered. To the end, he replied. They plunged into the northeast branch. The water here ran faster, colder, the current pulling at their legs. Isaiah led the way, testing each step before committing his weight. Behind him came Hannah, then Samuel and Elijah, with Abigail bringing up the rear. The creek bed grew rocky, treacherous. Elijah stumbled and went under, Samuel catching her before the current could sweep her away. She came up sputtering, terror in her eyes, but she kept moving. Behind them, they heard shouting. The pursuers had reached the creek split. Voices argued about which way to go, whether to divide their forces. Isaiah prayed they would hesitate, waste time deciding. Every minute of confusion was another minute of distance. The northeast branch narrowed, the banks closing in. Trees grew thick here, their roots creating a maze of obstacles beneath the water. Isaiah's shin cracked against a submerged log. and he bit back a cry of pain. Keep moving. Always keep moving. They had been in the water for what felt like hours when Hannah suddenly pulled on Isaiah's arm. Isaiah! The water! Look at the water! He looked down. The surface was reflecting light. Not moonlight, but orange flickering light. Torchlight. The pursuers had chosen the northeast branch. Isaiah's heart hammered against his ribs. The dog's barking was clear now, echoing off the water. They were being followed, and the gap was closing. Faster, he urged. We have to move faster. They pushed forward with renewed desperation. The water seemed to fight them now, the current stronger, the footing more treacherous. Abigail slipped and went down hard, Samuel hauling her back up. Her dress was torn, blood running from a gash on her arm where she'd hit a rock. I'm fine, she gasped before anyone could ask. Keep going. The torchlight grew brighter. Isaiah could hear individual voices now. I see something ahead. Movement in the water. That's them! Get those dogs forward. The barking intensified to a frenzy. The hunters had spotted them. Run! Isaiah shouted, abandoning stealth for speed. They crashed through the water, no longer caring about noise. Behind them, the pursuit erupted into chaos. Men yelling, dogs baying, splashing as the hunters plunged forward. The creek began to shallow. Isaiah felt solid ground under his feet. Then mud, then grass. They burst out of the water onto a marshy bank, their clothes streaming, their legs burning from exertion. The woods! Hannah pointed to a thick stand of trees 30 yards ahead. We can lose them in there. They ran, their wet clothes weighing them down, their boots squelching with every step. Behind them, the first dog emerged from the creek, its lean body silhouetted against the torchlight. It caught their scent and bayed triumphantly. Isaiah risked a glance back. 3 men were out of the water now, more following. Crow's voice rose above the chaos. Don't let them reach the trees. 20 yards to the woods. 15. 10. A gunshot cracked through the night. The bullet hissed past Isaiah's ear and thudded into a tree trunk ahead. They dove into the forest as another shot rang out, the ball splintering bark inches from Hannah's head. The woods swallowed them. Isaiah led them deeper, weaving between trees, jumping fallen logs, pushing through undergrowth. Behind them, the pursuers crashed through the forest, their torches casting wild shadows. Elijah stumbled and fell. Samuel hauled her up, half carrying her forward. Abigail's breathing came in ragged gasps, her injured arm leaving a trail of blood on the leaves. They couldn't maintain this pace. They were exhausted, injured, outnumbered. Isaiah's mind raced through their options and came up empty. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to go that the dogs couldn't follow. Then Hannah grabbed his arm and pointed. Ahead, through the trees, Isaiah saw it, a rocky outcrop rising from the forest floor, perhaps 20 feet high. At its base, barely visible in the darkness, was a dark opening. A cave. There, Hannah gasped. They scrambled up the rocks, their hands scraping on stone. The cave entrance was narrow, barely wide enough for a person. Isaiah pushed Hannah through first, then Elijah, then Abigail. Samuel squeezed through and Isaiah followed, pulling himself into the darkness just as torchlight flooded the rocks below. They crawled deeper into the cave, away from the entrance. The space was tight, the ceiling low, the air thick with the smell of earth and bat guano. They huddled together in the darkness, their breathing harsh and loud in the confined space. Outside, they heard the dogs arrive, barking frantically at the base of the rocks. Men's voices rose in excitement. They went up here. The dogs have them cornered. Check that cave entrance. Don't let them escape. Footsteps scraped on rock. Torchlight probed the cave entrance, casting long shadows into the interior. Isaiah pressed himself against the cave wall, willing himself invisible. Beside him, Hannah's hand found his and squeezed tight. A man's face appeared at the cave entrance, distorted by torchlight. He peered into the darkness, his eyes struggling to adjust. I can't see nothing in there. It might go deep. Then go in and check, Crow's voice commanded from below. You go in, the man at the entrance replied. I ain't crawling into no dark hole with runaways who might be armed. They're not armed, you fool. They're slaves. Then you go in. A tense silence followed. Isaiah barely dared to breathe. The cave was a trap. They couldn't go forward, couldn't go back. If the hunters came in, they were finished. Then a new voice spoke, older and calmer. Sun's gonna be up in a few hours. We can wait them out. They can't stay in there forever. No food, no water. Come dawn, we smoke them out or wait until they surrender. Murmurs of agreement. The face at the cave entrance withdrew. The torchlight moved away slightly, though it didn't disappear entirely. Set up watch, Crow ordered. 2 men on the cave. The rest spread out in case they try to make a run for it. When the sun comes up, we'll see what we're dealing with. Footsteps moved away. The voices grew quieter, settling into the casual conversation of men settling in for a long wait. The dogs continued to bark periodically, but their frenzy had subsided to occasional alerts. In the darkness of the cave, Isaiah's group lay motionless. Hannah's hand trembled in his. Abigail's breathing was shallow and pained. Samuel and Elijah huddled together, their young faces invisible but their fear palpable. They had escaped the immediate pursuit, but they were trapped, cornered like animals in a hole with no way out. And when the sun rose, their hunters would see everything. Isaiah closed his eyes and tried to think. There had to be a way. There had to be. They hadn't come this far, risked this much, only to die in a cave at dawn. But as he lay there in the darkness, listening to the guards outside and feeling Hannah's terrified grip on his hand, he couldn't see it. For the first time since they'd started running, Isaiah couldn't see a way forward. All he could see was the coming dawn and the end of everything they'd fought for.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.